Hi everyone, welcome to another Fireside chat where we're catching up with some of our all-star alumni and asking, where are they now? Today I have the pleasure of being joined by Neerja, who is a Senior Technical Product Development Lead at Apple. Neerja, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ellen, for having me over here.
So I'd love to know, what has your career path been like and where did Product School fit into that for you?
Sure. So I started out as an electrical engineering, working as individual contributor, mainly in the consumer electronics space. So you can guess I have a hardware background. And then gradually I transitioned to more like a technical product lead role, collaborating with engineering and product marketing and also user experience to define hardware features. And that's where I thought of that, it's a good time for me to learn more insight about product management. And here I was at Product School.
Great. And what was your experience like with your instructor and in your cohort?
So my instructor was Gampi Shankar, and he was a very smart guy, and we are still in touch. Actually, he was really supportive and was a real mentor in terms of exposing me to the whole product management space, and giving his own day-to-day work instances and was helpful to understand what it will look like to work as a product manager, and also working with my cohorts coming from different backgrounds, engineering, marketing, user experience was a good exposure for me overall to gain better insight.
Mm-hmm. So did you feel when you were part of your cohort, did you feel like you were already getting the experience of working as a product manager? Did you sort of feel like you were a product manager already in a way?
Yeah, it does make you feel that way because your mindset is now being more broadened, and you're able to think through different areas, and that's what I was looking for, because previously I was very engineering focused, and now I'm thinking a big picture. I'm looking into a high level pitch of what it actually means for a customer, in terms of experience. So that's definitely, it broadened my scope of thinking.
Mm-hmm. And now that you're actually working in product management, what's a typical day-to-day like for you, if there is such a thing as a typical day-to-day in product?
Yeah, so we do. It depends, but sometimes I'm working on a documentation like a PRD, which is very common in the software space, or I'm engaged with engineers on a very deep level technical discussion for a defined feature and the approaches to be taken for the best implementation, seeing its repercussions after launching and what it's going to look like. So there are different things I work on, and I also engage with operations as well, a lot, just because Apple is it's a huge, I would say it's an elephant in the space of operations, supply chain. So that's something keeps me quite busy.
I can imagine. And what would you say is the main benefit to getting a product management certification specifically?
Yeah, so definitely, I think it did bumped up my LinkedIn profile. I was noticed by recruiters, by potential hiring managers, to interview me for the product manager roles, and also I think. When you see a certification, the people know that this person knows this field, has some background. So that's definitely helped me to elevate my pitch for interviews and talking with folks on the same space in the same space.
Mm-hmm. It's always so satisfying when you finish a course or a certification, like when you're adding it to your LinkedIn profile, like that immediate gratification, just it feels so good. But
Definitely.
apart from that, was there anything that you learned during your certification that you still use today as a product manager? Any particular nuggets of wisdom that have really helped you?
Yeah, so I think what I learned was more like more about the customer focus, user centric, that was something pretty much, I learned, I kind of got more insight, I would say, and also being very, I would say, question the status quo, because when you're working on a feature, you have to really justify that, right? And that's one thing. And then being entrepreneur, just because you have to collaborate with different teams, and it takes a lot of initiative on your part to display the right leadership skills to be able to fiercely defend or engage the teams to for the product to be successful. So I think those were things I kind of was exposed
Fantastic.
to, and yeah, helpful.
Fantastic. And I understand that you were working full time while you were pursuing your certificate. How did you manage to balance a job and studies at the same time, as well as having to be, an adult human with all that entails as well?
Yeah, well, surprisingly, when I did the product school, I wasn't working. I
Oh,
took a break just for my own sanity, and so that's why it just that's why product school was a very enjoyable experience for me, just because I was so much into it. Doing the projects, collaborating with my teammates, and also it also gave me time to network with the potential employers and hiring managers.
great. It must have been so nice to have that space to
Yeah,
really dive into the subject matter, and also, balancing career and education. It is a struggle at times. So being
it
able to
is. It
dive
is.
into it, yeah, that sounds like a great advantage. So I'd love to know a little bit more about the work that you do. I saw that you were working particularly on hardware products. Are there any unique challenges to working in that space as opposed to purely digital products?
Yeah, so hardware product is mainly based on the waterfall style, versus agile in software. So in waterfall, we have to early on define the product features with deepest clarity and specification, just because there's so many different things, so many different modules which are part of a hardware feature definition, and there are longer lead times. There are vendors which are engaged to engage to get the feature out in time for a company, right? There's an operational level of risk, manufacturing level of an effort. So thinking, or in an encompassing manner, it's essential to uh, that's kind of, I would say, a challenging part of working in hardware product development and product management.
Mhm. And to say that Apple is, well, like you said, it's an elephant in the space, it's an elephant in many spaces. So to say that it's a big brand and it's very well known is just a ridiculous understatement. And I'm sure that a lot of people who are in product management who aren't at Apple or aren't at Apple yet maybe have assumptions about what it's like to work at Apple just from what they've seen from the outside. Is there anything that you think people would be surprised by once they actually land at Apple and they say, oh, this is how it is? Would you say there's anything like that?
Oh, I think I was very much surprised, just because the massive teams I was engaged with in collaboration, and I kind of like was working online because of the COVID scenario, but I was surprised by the support and by the deep dedication and the smartness of the people I've been working with, and it's a real charm to my day-to-day work. I mean, it just brings me the enthusiasm to be there each day at work for Apple.
Mhm. And I guess the history of the company as well, and just the impact that it's had on like the technology industry as a whole, or like I mean the world as a whole. That must be like quite an empowering feeling when you walk into work every day, I imagine.
Definitely, just because you are working with some of the smartest people, right? And just they bring in those, they're fierce folks. They're just like really working hard to bring the right approach for the product, and they are impacting the lives of millions. So it's great to work with those folks, and to be kind of like to be in the same mindset as they're working with. So there's so much of learning over there. So I really enjoy every day working at Apple.
I guess it's the same for every job, where it really is the people that you work with that make the job. Definitely. So I just have one more question for you, which I'm really sad about because I could ask you a million more questions. What advice would you give to someone trying to break into products for the very first time?
I think so. That's a good question. I had my own opinion about it, but I think so. To be able to land in your first job in Apple, in product, you have to think beyond what you are doing. It has to be a bigger picture. It has to be something which you can think through. The customer experience, be able to think through a defined methodology for product design, having that exposure in what it means of product marketing. So I think I would say product getting into product, you have to first probably gauge what you're looking for, what product attracts, what product really inspires you, and why it has changed your life. And I think that will help you to build a mindset of how exactly a product feature is defined and what really it takes to build that product feature. So there's a change of mindset. And secondly, I think I would probably recommend to talk with folks who are in the industry already working as product managers, and learn from their experience as well. That's something will really help to shape up your personality and your outlook when you're trying to jump into product management. Those are some of the, I would say, recommendation from my end. And definitely, I also want to add, interview preparation is a big deal for product management, just because there's so many different segments in the product management, and continuously improving on those will definitely lead a path through your first job as a product manager.
Fantastic advice. And I'm actually going to be cheeky and sneak in just one more question. I know I said it was the last one, but I don't care. I'll make up my own rules.
No worries. Go ahead.
That's really great advice for product management. Is there anything specifically that you think Apple is looking for in product managers? So for anyone listening or watching who really wants that job at Apple, they've seen what you guys do and think it's incredible, and they really want to break in specifically to Apple. Do you have any advice for what you think Apple are looking for from product people, other than being the smartest people in the world, of course?
Well, I would say from my perspective, as I interviewed with Apple, I think Apple is looking for people who have the analytical skills to solve problems, breaking down problems into small, bits, and then addressing them, with a thoughtful approach. If you can walk through your approach in the interview, that's something the hiring managers look for, and what you can bring on the table, right? That's I think every job interview requires, and that's something if you can talk it out, giving examples, that's I think is definitely a big plus of getting through, yeah, kind of interview process. So I would recommend, I would probably have inputs in
Fantastic. That's really good actionable advice for everyone looking to break into product management and into Apple specifically. So that really was my last question, I promise. Thank you so much for joining us. It was so great to catch up with you. And thank you everyone for joining us. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.